The Galactic Empire set its sights on Earth. Humanity's response shattered the cosmos. The sky over Earth was unusually clear that evening. The sun had set, leaving a soft orange glow along the horizon. In a quiet observatory on the edge of Colorado, Daniel Cruz adjusted the telescope, his eyes scanning the stars for anything unusual. Daniel had been an astrophysicist for many years, and he was used to looking at small blips of light, patterns of distant stars, and the slow drift of planets. But tonight, something was different. A signal appeared on his monitor. At first, he thought it was a glitch, a simple mistake in the equipment. But as he watched, the pattern repeated again and again. It was structured. It had a rhythm, a sequence that made no natural sense. Daniel leaned closer, his heart beating faster. He ran the data through a series of filters, trying to decode it. The more he looked, the clearer it became. This was not random noise. Something out there, far beyond the solar system, was sending a message. He called his colleague, Ethan Brooks, who was working at a nearby aerospace lab. Ethan was a practical man, always focused on solutions and building things. When he arrived, Daniel showed him the signal. Ethan stared at the screen for a long time, then said quietly, "This is not normal. Whoever is sending this, they are watching us." Daniel nodded, feeling a chill. "It's near the Kuiper Belt," he said. "Beyond Neptune, too far for anything human. I think it's a ship. Or a fleet." Meanwhile, in orbit around the Earth, Olivia Grant was monitoring satellite systems from the International Orbital Command Station. She had been a military officer for nearly 20 years, trained to anticipate threats, but she had never imagined anything like this. Alerts were popping up across the network. Strange energy readings, unidentified objects moving faster than anything built by humans. Olivia tightened her grip on the console. Something was coming, and it was coming fast. Back on the ground, Daniel and Ethan worked late into the night. They ran simulations, trying to determine the size and speed of the incoming fleet. Each result made the threat clearer. The objects were enormous. They moved with purpose. They carried weapons that no human technology could match. The two men did not speak much. Words were useless. The silence was heavy, broken only by the hum of computers and the occasional beep of alerts. At the same time, across the country, Maya Collins, a journalist known for uncovering hidden truths, was following her own story. She had received a tip about unusual government activity, sudden blackouts, restricted airspace, and secretive military movements. The world was unaware, but she knew something was coming. Maya traveled to Washington, D.C., digging through documents, following the trail of officials and scientists. She felt a growing sense of urgency, a pressure she had never experienced before. Whatever was happening in space would change everything. The next morning, the first ships arrived. They did not enter the atmosphere. They hovered above Jupiter, enormous geometric structures that reflected sunlight like dark mirrors. Their shapes were unlike anything human had ever seen. Cubes, pyramids, and sharp-edged monoliths, moving with perfect coordination. The Galactic Empire, as their holographic broadcasts called themselves, announced their presence. A voice spoke in a calm, controlled tone, translated into every major language on Earth. "People of Earth," the broadcast said, "we are the Galactic Empire. Your planet has been designated as a strategic asset. You have 7 days to accept our rule. Resistance is illogical. Submission ensures survival." Panic swept across the world. Governments convened emergency meetings. Citizens stared at their screens, unsure if it was real or some massive hoax. In New York City, streets filled with crowds, some in awe, some in fear. Soldiers and police tried to maintain order, but the feeling of helplessness was everywhere. President Lucas Bennett addressed the world in a live broadcast. He was calm but firm. "Humanity has faced challenges before. We will not surrender to threats from the stars. We will protect our planet with everything we have. We will find a way." His words inspired courage, but deep down, he knew the fleet above Jupiter was unlike anything human weapons could touch. Olivia and her team began planning. Conventional satellites and weapons were useless against these massive ships. She suggested a new strategy: mobility and unpredictability. Instead of engaging the fleet directly, human forces would hit smaller supply lines, attempt sabotage, and prepare defenses for when the enemy finally approached. Ethan and Daniel were already working on unconventional solutions. They proposed using experimental propulsion technology in combination with energy weapons to create rapid, small-scale attacks. It was risky, untested, and dangerous, but it was humanity's best chance. Ethan felt the weight of responsibility. If this failed, billions could die. Meanwhile, Maya uncovered something terrifying. Deep inside classified files, she found records of previous alien observations. Humanity had not been alone for centuries. The Empire had been studying Earth, watching human development, testing defenses, and waiting. The revelation was chilling. Humans were never truly alone. Despite the fear, small acts of courage appeared everywhere. Citizens volunteered to help in defense preparations. Engineers, scientists, and pilots worked together. News networks reported on human resilience, and ordinary people shared messages of hope and unity. Daniel, Ethan, Olivia, and Maya realized that humanity's greatest weapon might not be firepower. It was creativity, courage, and the will to survive. As the seventh day approached, the Empire sent another message. This time, it was a demonstration. A small asteroid near Mars was disintegrated in an instant by a weapon that manipulated gravitational forces. It was a clear warning. Humanity had seen destruction on a scale it had never imagined. Yet even with fear pressing down on them, humans refused to submit. Lucas called an emergency council. "We will not negotiate with threats," he said. "We will fight if we must, but we will fight smart. We must use our knowledge, our science, our creativity. That is what makes us human. That is what will save us." Ethan presented a plan. "We take what we know about alien propulsion and energy systems," he said. "We modify it, adapt it, and hit their command structures in orbit. We may not destroy them, but we can slow them, confuse them, and give us time to prepare. It's a chance. It's all we have." Olivia looked at the fleet in orbit through her station's observation window. The ships were massive, silent, and cold, yet she felt a strange sense of pride. Humanity was small, fragile, and untested in the vastness of space. But humans had something the Empire could not measure: determination. As night fell on Earth, the first human fleets took to orbit, small but fast, weaving between satellites and debris fields. They were outmatched in size and power, but they had speed, cleverness, and the will to survive. Ethan guided the modifications on experimental weapons, while Daniel calculated trajectories and shield patterns. Olivia coordinated the fleet movements, making split-second decisions. Maya documented everything, ensuring the story of humanity's courage would survive even if they did not. And then it began. The first skirmish near the moon was brief but intense. Human ships dodged massive energy blasts, firing back with small but precise weapons. The Empire's shields absorbed most attacks, but for the first time a ship was damaged. Humanity had shown it could fight back. The world watched in awe and fear. Every battle was broadcast live. People in cities, towns, and villages looked to the sky and saw the proof. Humans would not be passive. Humans would fight. And in that fight, humanity began to realize something important. Strength was not measured by size or firepower. Strength came from the mind, the courage to act, and the refusal to bow. Daniel, Ethan, Olivia, and Maya, each in their way, felt it. The Empire had underestimated humans. They had underestimated the creativity, courage, and stubbornness of people who refused to give up, even when the odds were impossibly against them. The first part of the invasion had ended, but humanity knew it was only the beginning. The Empire would strike again, harder and faster. But now humans had tasted victory, small though it was, and with that taste they knew they could endure, adapt, and survive. The sky over Earth was no longer just a place of stars and planets. It was a battlefield, a proving ground, and a reminder that even the smallest world could challenge the vastness of the cosmos. And in the quiet of the observatory, Daniel watched the stars and whispered, "They've come for us. But they don't know who we are yet." The first clash near the moon had ended, but the fear was far from gone. The Imperial ships hovered above, silent and cold, like dark mountains in space. Humanity had managed a small victory, but it was a tiny spark against an ocean of power. Olivia Grant studied the tactical screens in the lunar command station, her hands hovering over the controls. Every blip, every movement, every energy reading mattered. One wrong move could mean destruction. Ethan Brooks worked tirelessly in the orbital labs. The modified fusion drives and energy pulse cannons were ready but untested. The weapons could work, he thought, but only if humans were clever, precise, and bold. There was no room for error. He looked at the fleet through the station's observation window and saw the massive monoliths of the Imperial vessels. They seemed unmovable, unchangeable. But humans had already proven they could adapt. Daniel Cruz continued to study the enemy patterns. He noticed something strange. The Imperial ships communicated in a way humans had never seen, a quantum relay network that allowed instant coordination across vast distances. It was like a hive mind, each ship responding immediately to every signal. Daniel realized that if the relay could be disrupted, the Empire's coordination would collapse. But the relay node was hidden somewhere beyond Saturn, deep in the outer solar system. Reaching it would be almost impossible. Meanwhile, Maya Collins reported on the ongoing events, broadcasting from a makeshift studio on Earth. Her words were calm but full of urgency. She spoke of courage and hope, of scientists, soldiers, and ordinary people working together. Her reports inspired millions. Even in the darkest cities, in the streets where fear and confusion spread, people held on to hope because of her words. Humanity began to act in small but daring ways. Fast, agile ships darted between the massive Imperial vessels, striking weak points and retreating before the enemy could respond. It was guerrilla warfare in space, and it worked. The Empire's shields were powerful, but they had gaps, especially when ships moved unpredictably. Olivia coordinated these attacks, giving orders, changing strategies on the fly. Every decision counted. Ethan and Daniel worked on a plan to target the quantum relay node. Ethan calculated fuel consumption, energy output, and weapon trajectories, while Daniel ran simulations of the Empire's response. It was risky. The mission would require a near-suicidal run into the outer solar system, but if it succeeded, it could cripple the enemy fleet. Lucas Bennett addressed the world again, his voice calm but firm. "We face a threat unlike any in history, but humans are strong because we think, we adapt, we fight together. We will not surrender. We will find a way to survive." His words were broadcast across all networks, reaching every corner of the planet. For the first time, people felt that the battle was not hopeless. The fleet prepared for the relay mission. A small group of ships, led by Olivia Grant, would escort a strike team to the node. Ethan insisted on joining the team to help with weapons systems. Daniel offered to guide them with calculations and trajectory corrections. The mission was dangerous, but they all knew it had to be done. As they approached Saturn, the vastness of space pressed around them. The planets looked like small marbles, distant and cold. Then they saw it. The quantum relay node floated in orbit around one of Saturn's moons, glowing with a soft, pulsing light. It was enormous, far larger than any human station, and surrounded by Imperial ships. The battle began. Human ships moved like shadows, striking at the node with energy pulses and avoiding the main fleet. Imperial ships responded with overwhelming force, but humans were fast, unpredictable, and clever. Ethan activated the pulse cannons, firing at precise points on the node. Each strike caused a ripple of energy that disrupted communications for a few seconds. The node was fragile if targeted correctly. Daniel guided the fleet, calculating angles and timing with incredible precision. "Now, Ethan, hit the left relay grid," he shouted. Ethan fired, and the node shivered, its energy flickering. The Empire's ships faltered, their coordination breaking for a moment. It was enough. Olivia took advantage, leading a daring maneuver that sent the strike team directly toward the node. The node exploded in a controlled chain reaction. Energy rippled outward, and for the first time the Empire's ships were disorganized. Signals failed, formations broke, and confusion spread like fire. Human ships darted in and out, striking with precision. For the first time, humans had an advantage, but victory came with a cost. Several human ships were destroyed, their crews lost. Ethan watched as a friend's ship was consumed by energy blasts. He felt a deep sadness, but he knew their sacrifice had bought humanity a chance. Olivia grieved too, but there was no time to mourn. The fleet needed her focus, and the Empire would not wait. Back on Earth, Maya reported the mission's success. She spoke of bravery, sacrifice, and hope. People around the world cheered. Streets filled with celebration, and yet beneath the joy, a tension remained. The Empire was wounded, but it was far from defeated. Humans had won a battle, but the war was just beginning. The Empire responded. From deep space, massive ships accelerated toward Earth. Their weapons glowed, and the first bombardments began in orbit. Human defenses held, but the destruction was terrifying. Satellites exploded, communication networks failed, and small cities lost contact with the outside world. The Empire's power was immense, and it became clear that humans could not match them in a straight fight. Ethan and Daniel continued to work on experimental weapons, trying to turn alien technology into tools for human survival. They modified energy cores, reinforced shields, and developed rapid strike capabilities. Every improvement was tested in orbit, every success measured against the Empire's attacks. Olivia led daring raids against supply ships, striking quickly and retreating before the enemy could respond. Her strategy was working, but it required precise timing and absolute trust from her team. Humans were learning, adapting, and growing stronger with every encounter. Lucas Bennett addressed humanity once more. We cannot win by following the rules of the Empire. We must create our own rules. We must be bold, clever, and unafraid. Humanity's strength is our mind, our courage, and our will. Together, we can survive. As the Empire's fleet moved closer, humans began to understand something vital. They were small, fragile, and limited in technology, but they had an advantage the Empire had not expected: creativity and unpredictability. Where the Empire relied on strict order, humans could improvise. Where the Empire relied on fear, humans relied on hope. The battle for the outer solar system had ended, but the real challenge was just beginning. The Empire would strike harder, faster, and with more destruction. Humans had seen the cost of resistance, and they knew it would only increase. But they had tasted victory, and that taste was powerful. Ethan watched the stars and thought about the future. The Empire was vast, powerful, and unyielding, but humanity had survived its first real test. Daniel calculated the next mission, preparing to strike again. Olivia trained new pilots, coordinating attacks with precision. Maya continued to inspire, telling the story of bravery, sacrifice, and hope. And deep inside, everyone knew that the next battles would be harder. The Empire would adapt, retaliate, and seek to destroy humanity completely. But humans had discovered a truth that could not be measured in ships, weapons, or energy blasts. Humans had discovered their own strength, the strength that came from unity, courage, and the refusal to surrender. The sky above Earth was no longer a place of peace. It was a battlefield, a test of ingenuity and will. Every human in orbit, every person on the ground, knew that survival depended on boldness, cleverness, and heart. And for the first time, humans realized they had something the Empire could not destroy: their spirit. The battle had changed humanity forever. It was no longer just about survival. It was about proving that even a small world with limited technology could challenge a galactic power. It was about showing that courage, intelligence, and unity could overcome even the greatest odds. Ethan looked at the damaged fleet, at the burning ships and brave crews. He felt hope and determination. Daniel studied the remaining enemy vessels, calculating their weaknesses. Olivia gave orders with precision, her mind sharp and clear. Maya prepared her next broadcast, knowing the world needed hope more than ever. And as the sun rose over the horizon of Earth, humanity prepared for the next stage. The Empire was powerful, but humans were resilient. Humans were unpredictable, and humans would fight no matter the cost. The first real battle had been won, but the war was far from over. Humanity had shown it could strike, adapt, and survive. And in that knowledge, they found the courage to continue, to fight harder, and to prove that even against a galactic empire, humans would never give up. Humanity had won its first victories, but the galactic empire was far from defeated. The shattered relay node had slowed their coordination, but massive ships were still moving through space, carrying weapons capable of unimaginable destruction. Olivia Grant watched the tactical screens in orbit, her eyes scanning every blip, every energy reading. Every move had to be precise. One mistake could destroy the fleet. Ethan Brooks worked tirelessly on a new plan. The fleet's conventional weapons were barely scratching the Imperial shields. If humanity was going to survive, they needed something more, something dangerous but effective. He studied the remains of the destroyed Imperial ships, analyzing the lattice cores that powered their hyperdrives. He realized that the energy technology humans had captured could be used in a way the Empire had never imagined. "Daniel, look at this," Ethan said, pointing to a glowing core embedded in a damaged alien vessel. If we can reverse the energy flow, overload the lattice, we could create a chain reaction, not to destroy planets but to disrupt their hyperdrives across the sector. Daniel Cruz leaned over the display, calculating probabilities and energy outputs. "It's risky," he said. "The chain reaction could affect space itself. We don't fully understand the alien technology. One wrong calculation and we could destroy ourselves along with them." Ethan nodded. "I know, but it's our best chance. If we don't do something, the Empire will destroy Earth." Olivia sat nearby, arms crossed. "And you want to risk the entire fleet on an experiment?" she asked. Her voice was calm but tense. "If it fails, billions die. We cannot afford failure." Lucas Bennett joined them via secure transmission. His face was stern. "I understand the risk," he said, "but humanity has survived because we take risks, because we do what others think impossible. If you can make this work, we have a chance to turn the war in our favor." Maya Collins prepared a broadcast to prepare the world. She spoke carefully, describing the situation without causing panic. People around the globe were already aware of the Empire's power. Now, they would hear about humanity's plan to strike back with ingenuity, courage, and sacrifice. Her words gave hope, but also made people aware of the danger. Human engineers worked day and night. Ethan led a team modifying alien lattice cores, integrating them with human AI systems to control the chain reaction. Daniel calculated trajectories, power outputs, and feedback loops. Olivia prepared the fleet for the next battle, knowing the Empire would respond with overwhelming force. The first tests of the lattice device were frightening. Small overloads created massive energy surges, shaking the orbital labs. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and engineers were thrown to the floor. But the device worked. Energy resonated in patterns that could interfere with Imperial hyperdrives, slowing ships and disrupting communication. Lucas called a meeting with top commanders. "This is our best chance," he said. "If it succeeds, the Empire will lose coordination across thousands of systems. We must protect the device while it is activated. We must strike fast, precise, and together." As humans prepared, the Empire responded. Massive ships accelerated toward Earth, weapons glowing, ready to destroy the planet. The first bombardments hit in orbit, tearing apart satellites, knocking out communication networks, and creating chaos. Human pilots dodged energy blasts, weaving between debris, striking supply ships, and retreating before the enemy could respond. Ethan and Daniel worked feverishly to integrate the device into a mobile carrier. The carrier would be heavily shielded, capable of moving through the fleet while the chain reaction was activated. It was a dangerous mission. The device could overload, destroying the carrier and anyone inside, but it was humanity's best hope. Olivia prepared her strike teams. "We cannot fight them head-on," she said. "We strike fast, hit the weak points, and protect the carrier. Timing is everything." Every ship, every crew member must be perfect. The fleet moved into position. Human ships darted between Imperial vessels, striking quickly and retreating before the enemy could respond. It was chaotic, dangerous, but necessary. The Empire's ships were powerful, but they were slow to adapt to human unpredictability. Humanity's agility and creativity were their greatest weapons. Ethan monitored the device from the carrier. The lattice cores hummed, glowing with energy. The AI systems controlled the chain reaction, keeping it stable while ready to unleash it at the right moment. Daniel calculated the timing, the trajectories, and the effects. Olivia coordinated the fleet, giving orders with calm precision, even as the battle raged around them. Maya reported from Earth, broadcasting updates to the world. Her words inspired hope, telling people that humanity was fighting back, that even against overwhelming odds, humans were brave, clever, and united. Citizens across the globe followed the battle with bated breath, praying for success. Finally, the moment came. The carrier moved into the center of the Imperial fleet, surrounded by massive ships. Energy pulses rippled outward from human weapons, striking at supply vessels and communication nodes. The Empire's ships faltered, unable to react quickly. Ethan activated the lattice device. A low hum grew into a powerful resonance that spread through space, a wave of energy designed to disrupt hyperdrives, not destroy. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The Imperial ships continued to move, firing at the human fleet. But then, one by one, they slowed, their hyperdrives failing, their communication disrupted. Ships that had coordinated perfectly now faltered, collided, and drifted helplessly in space. Humans darted in, striking weak points, and retreating before the enemy could respond. The battle was fierce. Human ships took losses, but the device worked as intended. Imperial ships were disorganized, unable to coordinate, and vulnerable. Olivia guided the fleet, striking with precision, avoiding destruction while maximizing damage. Daniel monitored the ripple effects, adjusting power outputs to prevent accidental self-damage. Ethan realized the device was more powerful than expected. The resonance could affect ships across thousands of kilometers, potentially thousands of systems if used on a larger scale. It was dangerous, but it was humanity's strongest advantage. Lucas watched from Earth, his expression tense but determined. "This is our moment," he said. "Humanity has proven it can fight, adapt, and survive. Now we show the Empire that even their power is not absolute." As the battle continued, the carrier moved deeper into the fleet, protected by human ships and energy pulses. Every strike, every movement, every calculation mattered. The Empire's ships were massive, but humans had strategy, speed, and ingenuity. They used every advantage they had, striking with precision and retreating before retaliation. The resonance wave spread further, and the Empire's fleet began to falter completely. Supply ships were destroyed, command nodes disabled, and communication lost. For the first time, humans were not just surviving, they were in control of the battle. But the victory was not without cost. Human ships were destroyed, crews lost. Ethan felt the weight of every life lost, knowing that each death was a sacrifice for survival. Olivia grieved for her pilots, but she stayed focused, giving orders, guiding the fleet with calm precision. Daniel monitored every calculation, ensuring the device remained stable. Maya broadcast the events to the world, inspiring hope even as destruction raged in space. Finally, the carrier reached the edge of the fleet. Ethan stabilized the device, preparing to unleash its full power. The lattice cores hummed louder, energy building to a crescendo. Daniel adjusted calculations, timing the release perfectly. Olivia held the fleet in position, shielding the carrier as best she could. Then, with a pulse of light, the device activated fully. Energy rippled outward, not destroying space, but creating a massive disruption in the Imperial hyperdrives. Ships across the fleet slowed, collided, and drifted helplessly. Communication was fractured, coordination destroyed. Humanity had turned the tide of the battle. The Empire's forces were in chaos. Ships that had seemed invincible were now vulnerable. Human pilots struck with precision, taking advantage of the confusion. Ethan watched, exhausted but triumphant. Daniel calculated every move, guiding the fleet. Olivia gave orders, her mind sharp and clear despite fatigue. Maya broadcast the victory to the world, her voice filled with hope and pride. As the battle ended, humans looked at the wreckage. Imperial ships floated damaged and powerless, a testament to human ingenuity and courage. The sky above Earth and the outer solar system was filled with wreckage, energy ripples, and the smell of victory. Humans had done the impossible. Lucas addressed the world. "Today, humanity has proven that even against a galactic empire, we can fight, survive, and win. This is not the end. The Empire will return stronger and more determined. But we are ready. We have strength, courage, and ingenuity. We are human, and we will never surrender." The battle had changed everything. Humanity had discovered the true power of creativity, intelligence, and unity. Against impossible odds, humans had adapted, survived, and struck back with a weapon the Empire had never expected. The galaxy had begun to take notice. Ethan, Daniel, Olivia, and Maya knew the fight was not over. The Empire would come again, stronger and more ruthless. But humans had learned an important truth. Raw power was not the only measure of strength. Courage, intelligence, and determination could overcome even the greatest enemy. As Earth looked to the stars, humans knew that the next battles would be harder, but they were ready. Humanity had created a weapon, learned to fight with precision, and proved that even a small planet could challenge a galactic empire. And in that knowledge, humans found hope, strength, and the courage to continue. For the first time in history, humans were not just defending their home. They were changing the rules of the universe, and the galaxy would never be the same. The galaxy was silent after the first strike. The Empire's ships had been disrupted, their hyperdrives failing and communication fractured. Humanity had won a small but powerful victory, but the war was far from over. The Empire was vast, and it would regroup. Olivia Grant studied the tactical screens from the lunar command station. She could see the remaining Imperial ships slowly recovering, reactivating shields and reorganizing. They were angry, and they were coming back stronger. Ethan Brooks worked on stabilizing the Lattice device. The first activation had strained the alien cores, but it had also shown its potential. If used on a larger scale, it could disrupt hyperdrives across entire sectors of space. It was dangerous, yes, but it was humanity's best chance to end the Empire's advance. Ethan looked at the glowing lattice, pulsing with energy, and thought about the risks. One miscalculation could destroy the device and the carrier instantly. Daniel Cruz monitored the energy readings and calculations. He adjusted outputs and recalculated the resonance patterns, ensuring the device could operate safely for the next activation. Every number mattered. Every calculation was critical. If the timing was off, if the wave of energy was too strong, the entire solar system could suffer catastrophic damage. On Earth, Maya Collins prepared another broadcast. She described the situation carefully, emphasizing both the danger and the courage of the human crews. Her voice reached billions across the globe, inspiring hope and determination. People in cities, towns, and villages held their breath, waiting for news. They understood that humanity was no longer just surviving. They were fighting back, changing the balance of power in the galaxy. The Empire's retaliation came quickly. Massive ships accelerated toward Earth, firing energy weapons that tore through orbital defenses. Satellites exploded, communication networks failed, and the first strikes hit human cities with devastating accuracy. Human fleets moved to intercept, but the Empire's numbers were overwhelming. Olivia coordinated evasive maneuvers, striking supply ships and command vessels with precise attacks, buying time for the Lattice carrier to reach the heart of the enemy fleet. Ethan and Daniel worked inside the carrier, ensuring the Lattice device remained stable despite the turbulence of battle. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and energy surged unpredictably, but they kept it under control. Olivia's fleet protected the carrier as best they could, weaving between enemy fire and using the resonance from the device to disrupt smaller Imperial vessels. Lucas Bennett addressed humanity once more. The Empire may be powerful, but it has underestimated us. We are clever, courageous, and united. We fight not only to survive, but to prove that even a small world can challenge a galactic empire. Stand strong, stand together. Humanity will endure. The carrier approached the center of the Imperial fleet. Massive ships surrounded it, firing energy beams that could destroy the human vessel in seconds. Ethan's hands flew over controls, keeping the lattice stable while preparing to unleash the full resonance. Daniel calculated timing and trajectory, coordinating with Olivia's fleet. Maya broadcast updates describing bravery, strategy, and hope, even as destruction raged in orbit. Finally, the moment came. Ethan activated the device fully. Energy rippled outward like waves in a pond, spreading through the Empire's fleet. Hyperdrives failed, shields flickered, and ships lost coordination. Massive vessels collided, small attack crafts drifted helplessly, and command networks fractured. For the first time, humanity was not just defending, they were controlling the battle. Olivia guided the fleet with calm precision, striking weak points and protecting the carrier. Human ships darted in, attacking supply lines and command nodes, then retreating before retaliation. Each maneuver was calculated, each strike precise. The Empire's forces faltered under the combined assault of human strategy and the lattice resonance. Ethan realized the device was more powerful than anticipated. The energy waves spread far beyond the fleet, disrupting systems thousands of kilometers away. Imperial ships were stranded, unable to coordinate. Daniel adjusted outputs, keeping the resonance steady, ensuring no accidental damage to human systems. Olivia pushed her fleet further, striking where the enemy was weakest, taking advantage of their confusion. The battle raged for hours. Human ships were lost, crews sacrificed, but the device continued to work. The Empire's power, which had seemed unstoppable, was faltering. Ships that once appeared invincible now drifted helplessly, damaged or destroyed by human ingenuity and courage. On Earth, people watched as the story unfolded. Maya's broadcasts inspired hope, pride, and unity. Citizens across the world understood the stakes. Humanity was fighting not just for survival, but for the right to exist, for the freedom of their planet, and for the power to stand against a galactic empire. The final moments of the battle approached. Ethan prepared to amplify the lattice resonance to its maximum potential. Daniel double-checked every calculation, ensuring that the energy waves would disrupt the Empire without destroying space itself. Olivia held the fleet in precise formation, shielding the carrier while it prepared the final release. With a pulse of light and energy, the lattice released its full power. Resonance waves rippled outward across the fleet, across the outer solar system. Imperial hyperdrives failed completely, communication networks collapsed, and command structures disintegrated. Ships collided, drifted helplessly, and were destroyed. The Empire's forces were fractured, scattered, and powerless. Human pilots struck with precision, exploiting every weakness. Ethan monitored the lattice, ensuring stability. Daniel adjusted outputs, preventing accidents. Olivia gave orders calmly, her mind sharp despite exhaustion. Maya broadcast the final moments of the battle, her voice filled with hope, describing humanity's courage and ingenuity. As the energy waves settled, humans looked at the remains of the Imperial fleet. Massive ships floated damaged, destroyed, or powerless. Human ships were battered but victorious. Humanity had achieved the impossible. They had shattered the coordination of a galactic empire, proving that ingenuity, courage, and unity could overcome overwhelming odds. Lucas addressed the world. Today, humanity has shown that even against a galactic empire, we can fight, survive, and win. The empire may return, but we are ready. We are clever, courageous, and united. We are human, and we will never surrender. The victory was profound, but humanity understood the cost. Ships were lost, crews sacrificed, cities damaged, and lives changed forever. Ethan, Daniel, and Olivia felt the weight of the battle, knowing that each life lost had contributed to humanity's survival. Maya documented every story, every act of courage, and every sacrifice, ensuring that the world would remember. As the Empire's remnants retreated into deep space, humans realized that they had not just defended their planet. They had altered the balance of power in the galaxy. Humanity was no longer a small, insignificant species. They were clever, adaptable, and powerful in ways the Empire had not expected. Ethan looked at the stars, exhausted but proud. Daniel studied the energy readings, noting lingering effects of the resonance waves. Olivia prepared her fleet for repairs and regrouping. Maya wrote her final reports, telling the story of humanity's courage and ingenuity. The sky over Earth was quiet again, but humanity knew it would never be the same. The Empire had been challenged, disrupted, and humbled. Humanity had survived, and more than that, they had shown the galaxy that they were not to be underestimated. In the weeks that followed, humans worked to rebuild, repair, and strengthen their defenses. The resonance waves left traces across the solar system, reminders of the power humans had harnessed. Scientists studied the remaining alien technology, engineers improved human weapons, and pilots trained for the next inevitable confrontation. But humanity had learned a truth that no Imperial fleet could erase. Strength was not measured by size or firepower alone. Courage, intelligence, creativity, and unity could overcome even the greatest enemies. Humans had survived against impossible odds, and they would continue to fight, adapt, and thrive. Ethan, Daniel, Olivia, and Maya looked to the stars, knowing that humanity's journey was only beginning. The Empire would return stronger and more determined, but humans were ready. Humans had discovered their true power, not in weapons alone, but in their courage, their ingenuity, and their will to survive. The galaxy had changed forever. Humanity was no longer a small, weak species. They were a rising force, clever, united, and fearless. The Empire had learned to fear humanity, and humanity had learned to trust in themselves. As Earth turned beneath them, humans looked outward, ready for the next challenge. They had survived, they had fought, and they had won against the impossible. And in that victory, humanity understood a simple truth. No matter how vast the enemy, no matter how powerful, the human spirit could never be broken. Ethan whispered quietly, looking at the stars, "We've done it. We've really done it." Olivia replied, her voice calm but firm, "This is just the beginning. The galaxy will never forget us." Daniel smiled, exhausted but determined. "We've proven one thing: humanity is not afraid to fight, to survive, and to rise." Maya nodded, recording her final report. "And the world will know. Humanity will always rise, no matter the odds. The empire had been shattered, but humanity had only begun to understand the strength within themselves. They had turned the tide, changed the balance, and shown that even against the greatest odds, humans would fight, survive, and endure. The stars above Earth were quiet once more, but humanity was awake, alert, and ready. The galaxy would never see them the same way again. Humans had shattered expectations, defied impossibilities, and proven that the human spirit could shape the cosmos. And in the quiet, amidst the ruins and victories, humanity looked forward to the future, stronger, wiser, and united. They had survived the Empire, and now the universe would remember the name of Earth.